First up, Nebraska's passed not one but two laws yet further limiting women's reproductive rights. One bars almost all abortions after 20 weeks. The second subjects every abortion seeker to what amounts to a sanity test. The new laws, we're told, are supposed to have a chilling effect, but there's something about abortion that I think lawmakers still don't get. Pregnant with a kid you haven't planned, don't want, and fear you can't raise? That's way beyond chilling. That's a stone-cold terror. And it's that which has driven women to find a way to end pregnancies regardless. Safe or not, close or far, will laws like Nebraska's do anything to change any of that? You tell me. Write to me, Laura at GRITtv.org.
Nebraska becomes ground zero for the nation's debate over abortion. Governor Dave Heineman signs two bills creating the most restrictive abortion laws in the United States.
A new line in the sand of when an abortion can take place.
By taking into account the potential for an unborn child to feel pain and setting a new standard for abortions.
I didn't find this bill. It found Nebraska in that we have a provider in this state that wants to perform late-term abortions.
The Speaker of the Legislature, Mike Flood, says he sponsored the bill after Bellevue Dr. Leroy Carhart said he would fill the void left by an abortion doctor murdered in Kansas.
As I get referrals from other doctors that say that the fetus is not viable, then it's my intent to take care of those patients.
With me, Eesha Pandit. She's a women's health advocate with MergerWatch, and she's the director of advocacy there and at the Raising Women's Voices for Healthcare group. Eesha, Nebraska, it goes beyond chilling effect. I mean, laws like this have a very concrete impact on access. How does this law differ from stuff we've seen in the past?
Well, this law, what's interesting about it is that it comes at a time when we're seeing an increased energy around anti-choice activists to further restrict abortion access. They seem to have been re-energized by the health reform conversation and are bringing whatever legislation they can to restrict women's access to abortion.
And this one, interestingly, is no longer based on the viability of the fetus, but on the fetal ability to feel pain. Is that a major difference, a major distinction?
It is a distinction in that it is a distinction in the way that the courts talk about, how long a woman has until she's able to terminate a pregnancy legally. And traditionally, based on viability, that conversation, that eligibility point is at 22 to 24 weeks, and this pushes that back. So it restricts women from getting access to abortions sooner.
And do you think it's just a trial balloon? They're trying it because they can, because Carhart's there, because they can somehow vilify this one individual and his plans to provide late-term abortions?
I think so. I think that they're seeking, as they have for many years now, any opportunity that they can. And because of the media attention brought by Dr. Carhart, they're using him as another
But with the
target.
hope that it will spread nationwide?
Perhaps. I mean, I think that they see that challenging the access to abortion based on fetal pain is different, and so potentially they might hope to bring this to the Supreme Court.
You talked about the sort of fuel on the fire that was brought to this issue through the healthcare debate, and I was kind of concerned to see Concerned Women for America running an ad that made exactly that connection. Take a look. I don't know whether you can see it that clearly there, but that's Dr. Carhart in the picture, and Concerned Women for America clearly trying to draw that connection. You were very involved at Raising Women's Voices for the Healthcare We Need. How widespread is this connecting being made?
Well, I think what this example does, aside from being ominous and sort of terrifying in the music and the way that they choose to frame the issue, is to once again somehow separate doctors and the service of abortion from all other health care. And they did that throughout the health reform conversation. It is the only medical procedure that's legal that's been singled out for separate treatment in health reform, in the health reform bill. And they're sort of continuing that track on further and further. And they're sort of trying to vilify the man, it seems like, from this video. And, you know, it's particularly dangerous, I think, for this to sort of enter the mainstream, that somehow abortion can be separated and the doctors that provide legal services can be separated out from other care.
What about this mental health test that's being imposed on women seeking abortions? It's not unique to Nebraska.
No, what's interesting about it is that there's this complicated contradiction around women's mental health that seems to come up. The anti-choice activists are, from what I understand of Nebraska's legislation, saying that they want to protect women's mental health by informing them that they might suffer consequences later down the line as a result of their abortion, which is, of course, something that's not borne out by scientific evidence. But
telling them lies that will really help their mental health.
Well, or sort of saying that we're trying to protect your mental health. And that's sort of the guise by which we're restricting you. We want to talk to you about your mental health. But then later we've sort of seen, and throughout the reform conversations, we saw extreme resistance by these folks to have a mental health exception as a reason why a woman might want to have an abortion. And so
we're looking at a spectrum of forcing women with mental health issues or mental disabilities, even forcing them to have kids they don't want?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure how it's going to play out. It's really unclear what it means to tell a woman that you're taking into account her mental health, whether she can or cannot have an abortion. But the important thing is that women's health, I mean, this is clearly not consistent. Either you say women's health is important, and so we're going to provide you whatever services you need to safeguard your health, or you sort of try this tactic that they're trying, which is whatever we can use to prevent women from getting abortions, we're going to use that.
So there may be a mental health issue, but it's probably not the woman's.
Well, right.
Do you think I'm right about the chill factor?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough for providers of any service that seem targeted. I mean, Dr. Tiller was murdered as a result of his providing the services, and Dr. Carhart has stepped up. And I think that, you know, to ask providers to take their life into their hands to provide legal services is really dramatic. And of course, one might imagine that it would be chilling.
There are things people can do, like what?
Well, so what's happening now is through the health reform legislation, that's the way that it's been set up. Abortion is the decision of whether to cover abortion has been punted by the government down to the states. So we're seeing restrictions come up we've seen 5 different states already choose to ban abortion in their insurance exchanges. And so we're seeing that happening more and more. We're seeing states take the initiative to not include abortion coverage. And because of the complicated nature of the exchanges that are going to be set up, there's a lot of opportunities for anti-choice folks to restrict abortion coverage. And we really want to make sure that folks that care about abortion coverage in their states, particularly vulnerable states, pay attention to what's happening in their states and fight these legislations that have been introduced already.
All right. Well, we'll put links to some of your initiatives at Raising Voices for Healthcare We Need at our website, GRITtv.org, and we'll continue to follow the story. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
You're watching GRITtv.